forward to this
Oh, okay, Slay.
sleigh. Oh, you know what? I just realized we don't even have like a fun, like, this is morbid. Like, we don't have like a fun intro.
I feel like we're not that cool yet. I feel like we are gonna take a little bit to come up with one. So
Yeah, but this is exciting. It's our first episode on our new podcast.
I know it's a little scary,
Scary,
but
um, but
it's exciting.
exciting.
Exactly. So,
Ah, okay, do we like want to have like a quick chat? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to just dive right in?
what are we gonna chat about? Because I feel like we already there's
Yeah, but
nothing really exciting going on.
like they don't know us, Aubrey.
That's true. Well, hello everyone. I'm Aubrey,
I'm Rachel.
and welcome to our podcast. If you don't know the name, it is the
The Fearophiles.
Hell yeah.
All
So,
things spooky, creepy, and history.
you got that right.
Because, we're files.
I was telling Brandon about the name and I was like, it kind of sounds like a bad word, but like,
Oh.
and he was like, was there any other ones like that you guys went over? And I was like, yeah, but this one sounds more like appropriate and fitting. And there's,
Yeah, and I've already paid for a thing.
yeah,
I mean, it was 20
but I
bucks, so
love
like
it
what
though.
else?
It's
I do too.
perfect.
I
It's
do too.
perfect.
Um, I guess we should just tell a little bit about ourselves. I am married to my wonderful husband, Colin.
Mhm.
Only drives me nuts sometimes. We have four animals. I have two dogs, two cats. It goes Chewy, Buster. Those are the two dogs. Then we have Padme and we have Django. Because I have no self-control.
Yeah, meaning Star Wars obsession.
Yes, yes. The only one that does not fit that is Buster, and
Yeah.
that's mainly just because he has a slit in his like head from where he actually had like a cyst or something, so he's
Hmm.
literally busting at the seams.
I'm done. Plus, if you were to see how chunky he is, the name is fitting.
Yeah.
It's very fitting.
Yeah.
But yeah. Um, well, my name's Aubrey. We already went over that. Um, I am living with my boyfriend Brandon. I don't have any animals at the moment, but it might be in the process of getting a little kitty.
Stop! No way.
Maybe, but we're supposed to be moving soon, so we don't know yet. We
Better
don't
to
know yet.
wait. Better to wait.
Exactly. Exactly. We talked about it when we first moved, but it didn't happen because it wasn't, we're never home, so we don't really want to do that to an animal, Wouldn't
Sometimes
be fair.
it's just not right in the timing, and that's totally okay.
Exactly. Exactly. So we're gonna wait a little bit. I currently work in retail. Don't know what I'm gonna do with my life yet. But fun fact,
Same.
I think I'm gonna go back to school. I've been thinking about
Stop.
it. Mm-hmm.
For what?
Yeah. I don't know. I think I might just do like a business degree or something. And I kind of want to take my grandma's business and like move it. You know what I mean? Kind
That'd
of
be cool.
like on wheels. You know how they have like the grooming places?
Yes,
Like,
yes, mobile vets or mobile
yes,
grooming.
yeah, kind of like that. But I feel
Okay,
like
love that.
I need to get settled down first and like,
Find
have
an
an
area.
area. Yeah. So I don't know. That's kind of up in the air right now. But
That's so cool.
yeah.
It's so funny that you talk about that because I was literally just having that conversation with Colin. Just because like all of the layoffs and whatnot in our workforce.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I was like, with all of my past like trauma from like my childhood, like, wouldn't that be great to
Mm-hmm.
do something with it and like make something of it rather than like struggling with it?
Yeah.
Um, so it would take a lot of time to get there, but I was thinking of something like in the social worker kind of aspect. The only problem is most of those are like master's degrees.
Yeah.
And that's like a cajillion years from now. So
Exactly. No, I actually think that would be a great idea.
right? I love
Yeah.
kids. I love helping people, and like that would be a really great opportunity to like do both.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. But at the same time, it's going to take a really long time to get your
Well,
master's.
you know what? I haven't hit 30 yet, so I got time.
Exactly. You could be 40 and trying to get your master's. I think there's nothing wrong with that. You do you, girl.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the fear files. We are obsessed with everything fear. So we like crimes, so like murder, true crime, stuff like that. Paranormal, dark history. I love a cult because I definitely
Mm-hmm.
think like I I would get into a cult
What kind of
unintentionally.
cult, though?
Unintentionally. I think I would get into a cult unintentionally.
I love that. Yep. I see
Uh,
it.
we want to talk about haunted theme parks, haunted Disney history. We're even down to do like some movie reviews, horror, based on true stories kind of thing. The
Mm-hmm.
dark web, I'm kind of iffy on that because I feel like the dark web can be like super scary, super fast.
Yeah,
But you
agreed.
never know. Obviously fears, because fears are pretty cool, and it's really interesting to see like the way the brain works. And then different cultures on like spooky things. Um, and then spooky video games, because my husband is a massive gamer,
Mm-hmm.
and we play like spooky games sometimes. Like I really enjoy it. There's one game called Mortuary's Assistant, and we have a friend, Alexis. Shout out Alexis. She there's a line from the game, and it I don't know if I should even say it because it goes with like suicide, but like the ghost is telling the main character, slit your wrist, Rebecca. And Alexis always says it just like that, and it is so funny.
That's actually hilarious.
It
What
cracks
game
me
is it?
up. It's called Mortuary's Assistant. You're like literally an assistant in a mortuary office, and like not to like delve into like too much detail because like it is definitely something I want to cover.
Mm-hmm.
But she has like this like super traumatic past with like drug use and like suicidal ideations, and
Wow.
yeah, it's like, and you're like in the game you're like discovering demons and stuff like that, and it's very interesting. And they
That's
like
really interesting because you know me, I'm not really into video games like that. And I'm the type of person that doesn't know how to control. Like, I can't like look around and walk. I struggle with that. I have to do like one at a time. And Brandon always yells, he's like, why can't you just do it? Like, it's not that hard. Like, my brain can't comprehend it. Like, I just cannot do it.
it honestly can't be any worse than watching Jessie play Hogwarts Legacy for the first time. She's like,
Oh
what
my
do I
God.
do now? And I'm like, Jessie, you
That
gotta
would be me.
follow the instructions. Like the instructions are on the screen. And she's like, oh,
And
okay.
that's why I'm scared to get it because I know I'm going to be the same exact way. And I don't want to pay like $60 for it. And I'm like, oh my God, what do I do the entire
Yeah, I played Hogwarts Legacy first on my like keypad, and I was like, okay, like this is a lot. I can't do this. And Colin's like, oh, you need a controller, Rachel. And so we bought a controller, and it was definitely more bearable after that. But like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. So obviously, there's a lot we want to cover. I won't even talk about some of the topics we want to cover, but like, obviously, we like a lot of different things.
Yeah, but there is some things that we will not go
Yes.
over.
There's definitely like we have some ground rules, some gown rules.
Mm-hmm.
Um, crimes against kids. My husband and I have struggled with infertility for the last 4 years. And kids, even as I said earlier, are something that I love, and it's just a sensitive topic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do anything that would potentially haunt or hurt us. So like there's certain things that like speaking it into existence or like looking at its documents and stuff like that can kind of, give it more power. And that's definitely something that I'm not comfortable with.
Agreed.
So like, i.e., Boogle, he is an eater of kids and he gains power when you review his work. So like hard pass from Rachel. Don't know about
Yeah,
you.
I didn't even know that was a thing. And
Okay,
then,
so that's what Sinister's about, the movie.
oh my God, you're gonna hate me. I've never seen Sinister. I swear to God.
Stop. Okay, I remember watching it the first time and not really like understanding because I think it came out like 2011, 2012. So that was like
Mm-hmm.
freshman year of high school. And I don't really think I understood like the gravity of it. And then I just watched it recently with Jesse, and Jesse's like looking up the synopsis the whole time. And I'm like, quit ruining the movie. Just watch it. But she did find like a really great article that talked about like Boogle and like what happened in it. And I was like, oh,
That's really interesting.
that's really creepy.
Yeah, interesting
Also,
and creepy
are
at the
we
same time.
cursing in this? Are we
I mean, I
comfortable with
already
that?
said a couple.
Did you? I didn't even
I think
notice.
I think I only said hell. I don't think I said anything.
Okay. I
I
mean,
said what
H
the
double
hell?
hockey sticks is not bad.
That's true.
That's not bad at all. But I guess we kind of like laid out, we talked about ourselves. Um, let's just dive in.
All right, let's dive in. Let's do this thing.
Let's do this. So fun fact about my husband and I, we are massive fans of St. Augustine. We live in Florida, and St. Augustine's about like a 3.5, 4 hour drive from where we live.
Mm-hmm.
And we are obsessed with St. Augustine. It has so many different things between like history, art, food, booze, ghost stuff. Like it's I don't know
Big
if you
on the
know this.
booze.
Yes. Shout out to the Teeny Martini Bar. Love you. I could
All she
sit
does is
there all
talk about
day.
that place every time we bring up St. Augustine. He
I
brings up that
can't,
bar.
and I always remember the name of that waiter just to
Mm-hmm.
mess with Colin, and now I can't remember his name.
I don't remember. I remember you told me about the story one time, and Colin was like, ugh.
Well, because he kept talking to me and wouldn't talk to Colin, and like
Yeah,
he was offended by it, and I was
it
like,
was so funny. I've only ever been to St. Augustine one time in my entire life.
oh, that's so sad. I can't even count like how many times we've been. Like I know it's like between two hands, but like it feels like so many more because we always do so much when we're there.
Mm-hmm.
Like from literally sun up to sundown and even past sundown.
I definitely
Um,
want to go again then. But I went when I was like, I don't know, maybe 13, maybe. And I definitely want to go again now that I'm much older.
okay,
So
we'll
maybe I can
definitely
take,
have to like make a trip.
yeah, definitely. Because weren't we talking about it one time? Oh no, wait. We were talking about renting a house somewhere that was like a haunted house, but I don't think it was St. Augustine. I think it was somewhere else.
I don't
Anyways,
know.
I don't
I don't
remember either.
remember. I don't remember either. Fun fact about us, we have terrible memories.
Yeah, memories.
uh, it's funny. But so a little bit about St. Augustine. This is probably gonna blow your mind too. So St. Augustine was founded in 1565, which makes it the oldest city in America.
Yes, I heard about that too, and I was like, wow.
So
That's
this is 42 years before the English found Jamestown,
mm-hmm.
and then 55 years before the Pilgrims landed in Plymouth Rock.
Damn.
That's wild. And
Yeah.
I definitely think it's not something we talk about in history class either, because when we went to the Fountain of Youth, which is on the Matanzas Inlet, which is where like Pedro founded St.
Mm-hmm.
Augustine, like that's where he landed. That's like the original site too. Like it's not like moved or anything like that. Like it's the original settlement site. And they like told me that, and I was like, Colin, I think they're lying to us. And he's like, no, Rachel, it's the truth. And I was like, wait, what?
Wait, what?
But yeah, as I was saying, Pedro Menendez, I'm sorry, I'm terrible. My Spanish is terrible too. De Aviles landed at an inlet which was later named Matanzas Inlet, which by the way, Matanzas roughly translate to killing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that settlement, like I said, still sits there. It's actually in the Fountain of Youth Park.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost 460 years old now.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's insane.
So like imagine all of the things that happen in your average lifespan. Then now imagine a 460-year-old lifespan.
Yeah. That's insane.
Girl, crazy. So like that's a lot of history to cover.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of places in there that like really intrigue me. But like the one place that stands out the most is the old jail. It was formerly known as the St. John's County Jail.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's just do like I would say quick, but it's not quick. Let's do an overview of the jail because I feel like there is a lot to know about the jail.
Mm-hmm.
But there still is a lot that's like a mystery. Because you really can't find a ton on the jail. Um, it's strange. Like you can find a lot on like the hangings, the sheriff, like who
Hmm.
founded it, but like it's really hard to find information on the jail in a total or like even at the end of time of the jail. Like it's really hard and like it closed in 1953, so like that really wasn't that long ago. I mean it is, but
Right.
it isn't, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the old jail was erected in 1891 by Henry Flagler. He was the co-founder of Standard Oil Company, the founder of East Coast Railroad, and a major real estate developer out in St. Augustine. Literally, like everything that you talk about in St.
Hmm.
Augustine comes back to Henry Flagler.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was a massive real estate developer out there, and it's honestly so wild that one man like did so much.
Yeah.
And when you drive past like Flagler College, he has his hand in his pocket, and it's so funny because the trolley people always talk about like he's got his hand on his cash, and it's like no, like he really does though. Like he honestly did so much for that city, and it's hard to think like what St. Augustine would really be if it wasn't for him.
Yeah. I'm trying
So
to find pictures of it.
you trying to find pictures of him?
Yeah.
I think he can be found wearing like his little glasses, his little round like Harry Potter glasses.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
So he built his hotel Ponce de Leon right across the street from the original St. Johns County.
Mm,
Yeah, great placing. Obviously,
yeah.
for a rich man and his rich hotel and his rich friends, having a jail across the street was not the best option.
Yeah, I would say so.
So he told the county, like, let's move this. Let's move the jail. Like, this is not happening. And they were
Hmm.
kind of like, yeah, we're broke. No.
Yeah, let's just keep it there then.
So
Shouldn't have.
he spent $10,000 of his own money to
Oh
move
my
the
God.
jail. Do you want to take a guess at how much that is now?
I don't even want to guess. How much is it?
$346,818.68.
Holy shit.
He just like was like whoop right out the bank. Here you go. Let's
What
move
the
this
hell?
jail. So
That's a
now do you see why like they always say like he had his hand in his pants on his pocket, like on
understandable.
his
I
wad
would
of
too.
cash. Same girl. Um, so really cool. Like it was a couple miles out of town from Ponce de Leon. The jail was built by a company called PJ Poly Jail. It's the same company that actually built Alcatraz,
That's interesting. That's
right?
really
So
interesting.
Alcatraz was basically like mimicked off of the jail.
Mm-hmm.
So, mind you, Alcatraz is about 91 years old, and the old jail is 133 years old.
Wow.
Like this is like deep history, like a lot of time.
I love it.
So have you seen like what St. Augustine kind of like looks like the
As of
architecture?
yes, I have.
Very, like very up there.
Yeah.
So Henry Flagler didn't want just like any old jail built. He wanted something that matched his developments, something that didn't really stand out and say, "Hey, I'm a jail."
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it was built and designed in a Romanesque revival style. So like think like a Victorian house.
Yeah, literally
Um,
looks like a normal house.
yeah. So once in motion and like functional, the facility was called an open air facility, which meant there was no windows, just bars.
Wait, no windows on the house?
Yeah, like no like closed in facility. It was an open air. So it was
Uh,
just bars.
oh my God.
Yeah. So like listen, in Florida, that's kind of wild. We got critters, we got bugs, we've got hurricanes,
We got
like
all types.
we got everything. And St. Augustine tends to flood because of how close it is to the sea level. I
Yeah.
mean, even when like the most recent Milton hit, I have a friend that lives out there, Leandra. She said they even flooded kind of a little bit, and that's the other coast. opposite polar from where like Milton hit.
Yeah.
So it's kind of wild. So like
Fucking-
imagine all of the seasons plus your bugs and your critters.
Oh my God.
A
Ugh.
capital yuck for me.
Yeah, no.
Um, so the facility was actually built to only house 72 inmates and 12 women at a time. So like 72 men and 12 women.
What?
That's yeah, it's a small jail. Um, but there
Oh,
are actual reports of them having over 110 in at a time. Like
Jesus.
110 men in the jail.
That's insane because looking at the pictures and seeing how small like the jail actually
Yeah.
looked, it wonders like how many people they actually had
Yeah.
stuff to
So
eat.
I mean, like as you look at them too, like there's only typically 4 bunks in a cell. I mean,
Yeah.
even down like in like death row where they have like, you know, like the sick people and quarantine section, like
Hmm.
it's only 4 bunks.
That's insane.
Yeah. So they actually kept it closer to like 8 in a
And
cell.
it being super hot in Florida as well. Can you imagine all of the body heat inside of like
Right.
that's,
So yeah. The average lifespan of an inmate in this facility was actually 3 years.
oh
So like if you got
right.
arrested and went to this jail, like sayonara, you done.
Literally. Basically just signed off on your death.
Yeah. Oh, side note, they also didn't get indoor plumbing until 1914.
Oh my ew.
Yeah, so do you want to know what they did for the potties?
What did they do?
Buckets.
That's actually disgusting.
And it wasn't like, hey, we all get our own bucket. Don't touch my bucket. This is my bucket. It was, hey, you're all in this one cell in Gen Pop. Here's your bucket.
And that probably created so many different diseases. And that's why
Yeah.
people are dying so fucking quickly because of
Yeah.
ew.
So it definitely wasn't like the torture they inflicted or like, you know, the cramped spaces. Like a lot of it had to do with disease. And like imagine you don't have a window on your cell. What do you do? What do you do with your pee and poo? Like,
It just sits there.
yeah, I think
That's
they said they cleaned it up about once a week.
can
Yeah. Baths were
smell.
like once a month. They all shared bath water. Yucky.
That's
Um, yeah. So it's actually a 2.5-story jail. Maximum security is down at the bottom near the women's cell. And then like when you go near the women's cell, the kitchen is like directly next to it. Then there's
Mhm.
the sheriff's office downstairs, and then upstairs held Gen Pop and the sheriff's family housing.
Mhm.
And then what is called a sniper's tower. So obviously, like if people like escaped and ran off, like
Yep, you're dead.
but I actually don't think there was any like escapees from the jail. I couldn't
Wait.
find anything in the history, so that's pretty wild.
Mhm.
But it is like solid concrete. Like when you walk through there, like it is a hard floor.
Yeah.
So, over the 62 years of running, the facility really saw many sheriffs, but one that tends to stick out literally and physically is Joe Perry. He served about 2 stints there, so 1889 to 1897, the 2 years before we're at the old location, and then 1901 to 1919. So that's like a total of about 26 years, making
Wow.
him the longest running sheriff.
Wow.
So he was elected and reelected over several times. And when I say literally and physically, Joe Perry was 6'6".
Damn.
350 pounds. So like we're talking about big
That's
man.
a big bitch.
Yeah, like
Wow.
so he was as tall as my dad is. So that's really tall. Like call him 6'1".
Yeah.
My dad's 6'6". Like my dad's not 350, but like that's a big man.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
Hey, don't they like statues of him?
Yes. So they like the most known one is the one outside the jail on the bench. And
Okay.
that's a life size. So like if you sit next to him, Aubrey, you will literally look like a child next to him.
Yeah, because I'm like I'm like 5'2", 5'3".
Yeah. And then there's another one in Gen Pop at the top on the half story. because you're not allowed to go on the half story. It's actually blocked off. But
Do
like he stands up there and like it's life size. So like he's like already high up because it's a half story, but then
Oh,
like
I
it's
see it.
even bigger because he's a big man.
Is it the one where he's holding like the rope in his hand?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, he
Like
looks
like a
ginormous.
big bitch.
Emphasis on the big bitch. Oh my god. Yeah, he's a giant man.
Yeah. So he was a really odd character. He was really most known for being extremely profitable. However, his profits were, of course, on the backs of hardworking inmates. Um, he was always renting his inmates out to what was called the chain gang. It's also known as convict leasing. So that's like I own property down the road from the jail. I have work that needs to get done. I'm gonna go down to the jail and say, hey, like I want to rent 4 guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go down to the jail, rent 4 guys, work them, and not feed them.
Oh my. And he would. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. He was also known as being an incredibly mean man. He also like was really big on respect, which I don't really know if like he was worthy of respect on certain things. Like when you hear about some of the things that he did do. So he was reported to actually throw the wives of deputies into the women's section just because the deputy wasn't respectful to him.
Yeah, you want respect, but yet you treat innocent people and
Yeah.
people who are criminals.
Ooh, you
But-
showed your ankles. Time to go in the jail.
Yeah, that's kind of, sir, you don't
Yeah.
deserve Outta here.
So like not only did the wives work in the jail essentially for free, because we're gonna talk about like what the women did in the jail, and you're gonna like woo. So they worked in the jail for free essentially, and then he docked the deputies' pay, and you know maybe the wives won't serve the whole sentence, but Perry definitely got 2 discounted laborers.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
What is this?
I know. Fun fact though, he had terrible handwriting.
He looks like he has chicken writing.
I almost laughed so hard, I almost like shot my headphones off my head. Yes, he had terrible handwriting, and it was so bad that his deputies, when like receiving arrest warrants from him, would actually go and arrest random men so that way he would be satisfied.
So he arrested innocent men for nothing at all.
Yep. But like he was looking for like legitimate criminals, but his handwriting was so bad his deputies couldn't read it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he eventually like caught on to that and ended up actually buying a typewriter for that.
God bless.
Right? Fun fact too, he was actually like one of the first places in Florida to receive a fingerprinting kit.
Interesting.
Super cool. And both his like original typewriter and his fingerprinting kit can be found in his like sheriff's office downstairs. Pretty cool.
Wow.
So Gen Pop. Let's touch Gen Pop for a sec.
Let's do it.
It's on the upper floor and it consists of 8 cells on the like top, like half section, and then 6 cells on the bottom. Most of the tour guides will like acknowledge that they actually separated races in these 2 sections. They put the white people on the top and then anyone of color was below them. And it wasn't like this is your sale day in day night, like this is where you stay, like hey, you went to the chain gang, so and so took your cell, so like now you're 3 cells down, so like you're not even peeing and pooping in the same bucket consistently.
Ew.
Yeah.
I mean, peeing and pooping in a bucket is just gross.
Imagine peeing and pooping in someone else's pee and poop.
Yeah, that's gross.
So Gen Pop had, you know, thieves, loiterers, intoxication, like stuff like that. It was just a really big mix of people. They did eventually build a bathroom, and I'm doing bunny ears, but I know you can't see it. It had 2 toilets and a shower, hence the bunny ears again. The shower is essentially just like an enclosed like section where they had a shower. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I never
And the
shower.
toilets are not toilets, Aubrey. The toilets are holes on the floor. Yeah.
Like camping style
Yeah.
holes in the
So like
floor.
again, like sanitation was not a priority in this jail.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. I can't even imagine.
I can't either. Like camping without like a toilet sucks. I can't
Yeah.
imagine living that every day.
And not
For
even having like the things to wipe yourself. They didn't have anything to wipe
yeah,
themselves, did they?
I not that I can tell.
But
I
assuming
I
that they had to poop in the floor and pee in the floor, I assume they didn't have anything. So that's even nastier.
yeah.
Blech.
Blech. So women in the jail were used for labor in the kitchen. Like I said, free labor. They would
Mm,
work about 14 to 20 hours a day in the kitchen.
wow.
Yeah. And on average, they made about 600 to 700 cups of coffee, depending on like if the sheriff had any like guests or anything like that, or like deputies were staying in the jail, like 600 to 700 cups of coffee.
Oh my God.
Have to note here, a caffeinated worker was a hard worker in sheriff's mind.
I mean,
Um,
that part's not wrong.
no. I mean, think about all the times that we've like just
Yeah.
just downpoured caffeine to make it through our
Yeah.
shifts.
All of the Starbucks stops and all the
Uh,
Celsius and Red
I know.
Bulls. No, I get that.
Colin had a Red Bull the other day, side note, and I was like, excuse me, that's like 76% sugar.
I'm drinking one right now.
Oh God, you've got to get off of those.
I know Brandon got on me yesterday and he was like, "You're at Walgreens again getting Red Bull." And I was like, I know, I'm sorry, I need to stop. I have a
Yes,
really
you do.
bad addiction.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Um, so like obviously if you I know you're looking at like pictures of the jail. Do
Hmm.
you see how close the like women's section is to like the maximum security section?
I can't even get like all
Um,
I'm seeing is outside pictures and some inside pictures. Like I see some jail cells and then I see like the top floor.
dang. Because all of the pictures that I have are like of the outside of the jail over
Yeah.
time. I don't really have anything inside of the jail near the women's section, but like when you like say you're walking in the front doors where like Sheriff Perry is sitting on the bench,
Hmm.
and you hook a left, like immediately hook a left, like once you get past the door
Right.
is the kitchen. And
Hmm.
then just beyond the kitchen to the right is a doorway that's going to lead you left to maximum security. Or if you keep going straight forward, which I say straight forward, like there's room to go, but there's not. It's the women's section.
And I'm
And then
seeing pictures of like how small
yeah,
like the cells are, and the bunks are literally
on
like
top of each other.
yeah, they're right on top of each other, and there's only like a small tiny walkway where you have to literally turn sideways
Sideways.
if you want to scooch through. That's how freaking tight it is. It's
Yeah.
insane.
So like while women and men were, really close to one another, they never intermingled. Like never.
Wow. And you think
Um,
that the house is so small that they would like
have no
have
choice but to
some,
have some overlap.
right?
No.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So in the kitchen, there is a slot in the corner, lovingly named the bean slot.
The bean slot.
Yeah. For breakfast, it was grits. For lunch, it was beans. And for dinner, it was beans.
Oh,
Hence the bean slot.
oh, love that. I
Right?
bet they
Can
were
you
shitting
imagine
up a
seven?
storm and they had to share a bucket.
I was just about to say, imagine 72 men, beans, 12 women, beans, deputies,
Ah,
beans.
and
That's a
only a
lot of
certain
beans.
amount of buckets that you can use. That's
Yuck.
gross. That's disgusting.
So they used the bean slot to pass meals into maximum security.
Hmm.
Um, and then a dumbwaiter ran from the kitchen upstairs to Gen Pop. So they would just put the beans in the slot, bang on the, dumbwaiter, and it would go upstairs.
It's
So
interesting.
women and men never intermingled, even though women were literally in the like kitchen all day. Um,
Were
so
the
like
men kept in like the cells all day long?
yeah,
Okay. Because I was like
If you
still
look at,
thinking about them interacting with each other. Then I'm just
yeah,
like, well, they
it
must be
feels,
in their cells all day.
yeah, it feels like there's no way to avoid it, but I'm sure like as they would like, pull people out for like the chain gang, like there had to have been some sort of overlap, but there was never like, hey, we're both
Right.
out of our cells, let's intermingle. Like there was never that. Um,
Wow.
so women also made what's called tack. Um, tack was hard as a rock. It was made out of flour, water, and salt. That's it.
Interesting.
And they would bake it and bake it and bake it
So
and
they
bake
just
it.
burn the shit out of it.
Yeah. Until it was like literally like hard as a rock.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's kind of
Wait, did they eat it?
yeah. So
How?
when you were working on the chain gang, remember how I said like I'm gonna take you, you're gonna come work on my property, but I ain't gonna feed you.
Right.
They would take tack with them. That's all you would get.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
My
obviously
question is, how do they eat it if it's hard as rock?
shit tons of coffee. You take your
Oh,
tack, you soak it in your coffee, and
makes
boom.
sense.
They would make
Gotcha.
like little holes in it too, so that way like it would, soak up.
Absorb it. I
Yeah.
gotcha.
But remember, this is Florida
Mm.
and it's
Mm-hmm.
an open air jail. And what critter loves little holes? Weevils.
What?
Weevils.
What the hell is a weevil?
You've never seen a weevil?
No.
Gross. Typically, in like this day and age, you tend to see them a lot in pasta. Um, so like that's why there's like, in my opinion,
Oh,
that's why there's
those
little
are what those are
windows on.
called?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I thought those were like
Disgusting. No, they're weevils. Weevils.
ew.
Weevils. Yep. So
Ooh,
they
it's
would
making my
live
skin crawl.
they would
Next.
live in tack because they like little holes. So when you would soak your tack in your coffee, little weevils would come out of it.
Ew.
Ooh, talk about protein, right?
No,
Um
for real.
in the jail, there was actually 8 recorded hangings too. Um, you got to think about Florida. What do we have?
What do we have? What don't we have?
Right. No, we have death row. So death sentences. Uh, at this point in time, it was hangings because I don't
Hmm.
think in the 1900s they really had Sparky, um, or lethal injection like we do now. So you would hang. You would build
Makes
your
sense.
own gallows, and then you would sit in the death row cell, which was directly across from your gallows that you hand built.
Oh, that's fucked.
Right? Talk about like mental fuck.
Literally.
Granted, like I understand like you murdered somebody, like I, this is very controversial, but I
Hmm.
believe in the death penalty.
Hmm. I agree.
And I hate to say it, but a dead pedophile doesn't reoffend.
Correct. You're
We can
absolutely
argue
right.
about it. I'm down for it. Change my mind.
Oh, she's down to argue.
Well,
Me, I'm not.
I'm down to
But
conversate. But I don't think you'll change my mind on a lot
no.
of things like that. Um,
Mm-mm. Definitely not.
so let's just talk about some of the hangings. Some of them are really hard to find like information on, but
Hmm.
some of them aren't. It just kind of depends on like the case. So July 5th, 1901 was Robert Lee and James Kirby. It stated that James Kirby actually implicated Robert Lee as an integral part of the murder that he committed. So, like, Robert Lee didn't commit murder, James Kirby did. Um, and then he later actually recanted, stating that he wasn't there.
Wait, Robert Lee said he wasn't there?
No, James Kirby stated that
Oh,
Robert
okay.
Lee wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
Um, Sheriff Perry hanged them both anyways, stating that he had no doubt of Lee's guilt. And when you look at the article clipping from the Florida Star, I'm gonna share so you can see it. Screen 2. It's always so hard. I do this all day at work and like I still can't share my screens very well. um so like, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Sheriff Perry proceeded with the execution of 2 men. It seems that Kirby is too dense and ignorant to realize that an accessory before the fact is equally guilty, and that had Lee put him up to the murder, that Lee is guilty as he. Yeah.
So he just hung an innocent man.
Yeah.
That's actually, oh my God.
Fucked. It's fucked. Kirby, no doubt, has the impression that one actually committing a crime is guilty, and with this idea, it is possible that he made the statement. The confession simply states that Lee had nothing to do with the killing.
So why is that written in there? That it literally says that he did not do it, but yet he still hung an innocent man. Make it make sense.
Because he's fucked.
That's
Um,
actually insane.
yeah. So there is another article that I can't find, but it's stated in like Kindred Spirits.
Hmm.
It's on Max. Let's see, episode 4, season 4. He actually states, like Lee states in an article that like I was innocent and I will continue to tell my story in the next
Hmm.
life. And he
I
does
remember
that.
that.
He does
Hmm.
that quite often, actually. We'll talk a lot about like ghosts in a minute, but like he is a prevalent ghost in the jail in the like top section near like Gen Pop, which is
Hmm.
where like it's like right next to the snipers tower, which is actually where they have this like, it's not a memorial to the 8 men that were hanged, but like it's a lot about them, a lot about like convict leasing, and he like is consistently like known to pop up in there and like, I am an innocent man, essentially, over and over, like acknowledging his innocence, which is super sad.
It is
Um,
very sad.
yeah, it's sad to think that like we can acknowledge that like maybe he might have like goaded him into
Hmm.
doing this, but like he didn't do this.
And it's
Um,
upsetting that his soul is literally stuck in there and he
yeah,
cannot leave. Just
yeah,
won't pass on. It's really sad.
it is. It is. And I know Kindred Spirits comes back to the jail a lot,
Hmm.
just from like my interaction with some of the tour guides for the like night tours.
Hmm.
And like they do communicate with him a ton. And like it's hopefully giving him some sort of peace. I don't know how you really find peace from that,
I
to
don't
be
think you,
honest.
yeah, it makes you
Um,
wonder. I'm like, I don't think it's hard. It's and very upsetting.
yeah. So then there's February 9th, 1906. This is Andrew Sim Jackson. He was actually convicted of murdering his wife with a straight razor.
Excuse me, what?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Let me share again so you can see this picture. So this is Andrew Sim Jackson right here in the center. These are
Okay, I
just some
see.
random deputies and whatnot. This is Sheriff Perry's brother right here.
Hmm.
This is Sheriff Perry. Look at the size of that man.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So this is the only like recorded picture of a hanging,
Oh my God.
because like it was against the law to do that, because like I don't know, like it just seems like a really fucking wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
um so on the day of his hanging, there was actually 2 like neurodocs who wanted to see if while someone was hanging they could communicate. um Death could take about 15 minutes via hanging.
That's that is probably one of the worst ways to go.
Right, right. Crazy.
In movies, they make it seem like it lasts like 5 seconds. It's like done.
Right. But like, could you imagine watching one of those scenes for 15 minutes?
No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. No,
um
absolutely not.
so yeah, like while they were preparing for the hanging, as you saw in the picture, like he's holding a bouquet of flowers, which is so sad.
Oh.
um he let them, like Sheriff Perry let them take a picture. Like I said earlier, like it was strictly prohibited, um which is strange because they sold tickets to hangings.
Oh my
And like
God.
the morbid fucks we are, we gathered around in flocks. Like people would even climb up telephone poles so they could get a better view of the hanging. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like it got to a point where like they stopped saying like we're gonna hang this man on this day at this time. Like it became like, hey, we're gonna hang this man on this day in this time frame to kind of like stop people from standing outside and waiting for it.
that's fucked.
Right? We're fucking morbid as shit.
Literally. Humans
um
are the most.
right. But in the photo, you can see Sim standing in the center holding a bouquet of flowers, dressed in a really nice tux. Like we said, Sheriff Perry's brother is next to him, and then Sheriff Perry himself. So while he was hanging, they were actually able to communicate with him 100% via hand
Oh,
moments, though, like hand
oh,
movements.
oh
Because
my God.
remember, when they hang you, they put a bag over your head.
Oh, okay. I thought they didn't put a bag over his head. I was
Yeah,
like,
no.
damn, that's actually super fucked. But
Yeah,
either way, it's super fucked. But
yeah.
like,
So they were able to communicate for about 10 minutes, 100% with hand movements. And then
what were they
another
saying?
4, I have no idea. You can't find really a ton of information about it. Just that they were communicating.
It's interesting.
But yeah, then another 4 minutes, he was unconscious until he died.
That's so sad.
It's so
It,
sad. Like I understand these people committed crimes, but I feel like that is a crime against humanity to like make him a
yeah.
science project.
hmm
And like I
No
am
one
one
should
who,
ever watch that. I
yeah, and
mean, they did crimes that, aren't right and wrong, absolutely. But having people buy tickets to watch this man be hung
die.
is just absolutely fucked.
Yeah. So this one's pretty fucked too. This is so these are like their most known hangings. Like they're most talked about and like you can find a lot of documentation on them. February 9th, 1908 was Charles Powell. He was convicted of murder for deleting a man who spread rumors about his wife.
Huh?
He murdered somebody who spread rumors about his wife. I thought I'd add delete.
That,
Yeah. Some actually say he decapitated him. Like,
oh my God.
yeah. Um,
That's a little, I don't think you should really kill somebody for spreading rumors about your wife. What?
but this is the 1900s, Aubrey. This
Exactly.
is
I was
this
gonna
is
say, this is the 1900s we're talking about. It's completely different than now.
yeah. Yeah. Vastly different.
Yeah.
So there's actually a law that if you could not stand on your own 2 feet, you were not to be hanged. So on the day of his hanging, Charles was actually unable to stand on his own 2 feet.
Why?
I don't know if he like passed out or like maybe just like it really hit him, like, hey, I'm gonna die today. Like, the brain
Or
works in,
maybe they I don't know, tortured him for a few days and wanted to give him a reason to not be able to stand so they could kill him anyways.
well, whatever your thought process is, you never know.
Exactly.
But Sheriff Perry, being the maniacal man that he really was, he was not going to have that happen. So he actually, sorry if you guys hear Buster, by the way, he's a barker. He had one of his deputies go grab a 2x4 and they strung him up to the board and sent him down attached.
Oh my
So I did not really pass physics,
God.
but let's just think about that. Body weight plus a 2x4 and a single rope.
Goodbye.
They did
Oh
not
my.
account for the weight of the board plus Charles. And the rope actually snapped and he fell to the floor and flopped around until he hit the bricks.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He broke his neck, of course, which we all know that like breaking your neck is going to kill you no matter what. Of course, like this whole scenario just pissed Perry off even more. He sent his deputies to go find more rope so they could re-hang him.
After he already broke his neck.
Yes. People were fighting with him, like, no, like that's God's law, like, God let him go, like he needs to live. Like, girl, he broke his neck. He's not gonna live.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Talk about overkill.
Right. Literally.
Oh my God.
So Perry sent out his deputies to go find more rope just so they could rehang him, only for Charles to have succumbed to his injuries by the time the deputies got back. Yeah.
I wonder what made Perry this evil man. Like, why is he the way that he is?
I don't
That's
know. I mean,
insane.
you got to think about, like, I mean, we're in 2025, and like men still
Hmm.
struggle with like their emotions and stuff like that. Like, I can't imagine in the 1900s like being the sole
Oh yeah.
provider, being, and it's not to say that what he did was right, but like think about how much of the mental load he wore.
Hmm. Agreed. That's
And I
insane.
I definitely think back in that time too, like they didn't view inmates as people, they just viewed them as objects.
Hmm.
I mean, that much is very apparent through convict leasing.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he killed an innocent man that even he said he was innocent too. So it's just, oh, man's
yeah.
got something going on up there.
Yeah. So then there's July 2nd, 1909, George Hawkins. He was also convicted of murder, but his crimes are harder to find reporting on. Django just joined us too. May
Hi, James.
31st, 1912, Eugene Baxter, Steve Johnson, and Tom White. Again, also convicted of murder, but just like George Hawkins, they're really hard to find documentation on. So those last three were actually the last three to ever be hanged at the jail. That's 1912, 2 years before they got indoor plumbing. Let's remember that. Kind of wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on February 7th, 1919, Sheriff Perry actually died in his in office. Not in his office, but like died while he was serving as a sheriff.
What did he die from?
I can't remember. I think I mean, well, you got to think he's a big man.
Hmm.
It's the 1900s. More than likely, maybe something like cardiology kind of thing, like heart. I can't find most documentation on like how or why.
Okay.
But he was 56 years old.
That's young.
Yeah.
That's very
Um,
young.
so like I said, there's not really documentation stating on like where he passed. But one would assume in the two areas he roamed the most. So his like living quarters upstairs or down in his parlor slash office.
Mm.
It's, again, like I said before, it's really hard to find documents about the jail in the last couple of years of its existence,
Yeah.
before it was changed over to a museum. But what I do know is that the state came in to investigate the facility due to rumors of poor quality of life, only to shut it down the very same day it was investigated. They didn't like wait or think about it, like, let's ponder this. Like, the state called the jail crimes against humanity and shut it down the same day they investigated it.
I mean, good for them.
Yeah, but this is the 1950s.
Yeah.
This is 1953. Like, I'm pretty sure my grandpa was born in like the 1940s. So like, what?
Wow.
Yeah. So within a year of shutting down the jail, due to its inhumane actions, it was actually turned into a museum. We're talking 1 year after they shut the place down. Someone was like, time to make a profit.
No, literally.
But
Moving
I think it's
fast.
also a great opportunity to teach, just about like we're people. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
what
some
had
people
happened
fuck up
there?
and make like mistakes or
Hmm.
like, but I mean, like, this jail wasn't just full of people who created serious crimes like murder or rape. Like, it was solicitation or intoxication or
Hmm.
loitering. Like,
Also had innocent people in it
yeah,
doing, normal people mistakes,
yeah.
like the intoxication, for example.
So yeah, let's talk about some ghostly claims.
Let's
Um,
get into it.
obviously the old jail, being that it was full of trauma and neglect, there's no shock at all that it's chock full of paranormal complaints, like blah, 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 blah. Paranormal claims. That was a struggle there. Let's talk about some of those claims. Footsteps, clanking, sewage smells, like the smell of poop.
Yeah.
Molasses boiling, so like in the kitchen.
Mhm.
Barking dogs. There is a little dog that is known to be like found up in the Gen Pop area. Her name's Ginger. Whistling.
Like an actual dog up there, or
Yeah, like
just?
a dog ghost.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Oh.
Whistling, there is the whistler. He is someone that is in the jail. Cigar smells, tobacco smells, which falls in line with the cigar smells.
Mhm.
And then orbs. Not surprised on the orbs thing.
Yeah.
So the old jail has an overnight team. They're amazing. My like personal favorites are Teresa, Giselle, and Fran. They're super supportful. I can't tell you how many times like I've been nervous to go into a section, or like nervous to ask questions about certain things, and like they've been right by my side and like done it with me.
Mhm.
So like if you're new to the field, like trying to get your footing in, like they're definitely going to be in your corner. Some ghosts to note are Sarge and Gen Pop. Mary from the women's section. She's predominantly found in the kitchen though. There is another ghost. I don't want to talk too much about her, just because it is kind of sad, and it kind of falls in line with like things that we don't like to talk about. There's Sarah. She actually came into the jail not pregnant, ended up pregnant, and
Wait,
then
what?
yeah, she
Oh,
came
from
into
a
the.
guard?
We don't know. There's no like historical findings of her, but like mediums that go in there communicate with her. And like,
Interesting.
fun fact, I know you know this, but not everybody else knows this. I'm an empath.
Mhm.
It is very difficult to like feel other people's feelings as well as like your own feelings. But it certain feelings that like align with like my life tend to hit me the hardest. And it's almost as if like those people are like, I feel a part of myself inside of you, and like let's connect. And like
Mhm.
I have connected with Sarah, and it's so sad. So she got pregnant at the jail, and her kids were actually taken from her. And
Oh my God.
apparently, again, no historical findings. This is all just from the mediums and like communicating with them. They buried her kids in the flower beds outside of the jail.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
yeah. But that's all I'll say on Sarah, because she is a very sad soul, and it's really hard to like have those feelings.
Yeah.
Then there is the Whistler, like we talked about. He's typically located in Gen Pop, but he is known to kind of roam just from personal experience.
Mhm.
Andrew and Marcus, their story's a bit muddy, but Giselle, who works there, is actually a medium, and she does see and speak to the dead. And it's super cool to watch her like interact with them. But she has learned a little bit about Andrew and Marcus. They do stay in the sheriff's room, like in his like lodging area, but they
Mhm.
actually predominantly stay in his bedroom near a closet. So they didn't have like walk-in closets like we have now. Like it would just be, like your basic closet item thing.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, and from what I can remember, from what like interaction I've had with Giselle and Andrew and Marcus, there's like some tragic story about like deputies like actually shoving them in there and locking them in there.
Oh my God. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, and if you like see pictures of his bedroom, like that closet is tiny as shit.
Is it like one of those ones that are like like two closet ones that you just they swivel open and then boom, there's a closet? Like the
No,
old
it's kind of
ones?
like think about like Narnia and that like wardrobe.
Oh,
It's
it's
like
like
that,
that?
but it's small.
Oh.
It's like really like
Oh.
small.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but yeah, they can be found in sheriff's room.
Duh,
Sheriff Joe
Aubrey. This is in the
Perry.
1900s.
Sheriff Joe Perry can actually be found not only in his study, but also in his room. I think it just kind of depends. I can't remember the
Mhm.
name of his wife, but she can be found in there as well. They do tend to think she's more residual. So that means just kind of like she exists, not that she's, able to communicate. It just
Mhm.
might be moments that like, like maybe it's an important date in their history and like she's just there.
Oh, then she'll make herself known, but other than that, she just
Yeah. And
gotcha.
then I don't like this one. The
Oh
dreaded
God.
crawler.
Oh, okay.
He's also known as the creeper.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
I
In the
remember this on
episode,
the
they talk
episode,
about him.
and I was
We'll
like,
talk about
ugh.
him too in my experience because you girl don't like him. So let's start with Sarge. He's in Gen Pop. He's located in the bottom section. We aren't allowed to go upstairs, but like I don't know if he was upstairs and just like comes downstairs to the like bottom section of Gen Pop.
Mhm.
But he is known to interact with the REM pods. It's a lot like a K2 meter, which is like testing like electromagnetic I can't even speak electromagnetism. But you would typically like run it around a room trying to figure out like where the ghost is. But this is like a singular thing and it's sedentary and it sits in one spot and like he'll interact with it. So it's gonna detect anything that breaks its barrier. He likes to drive the REM pods crazy, especially if you play him music. He loves music.
Oh,
It's super
nice.
cute. In my experience, he enjoyed old bluesy music, kind of like that. What's that movie with the guy from Ocean's 8? This is gonna
Uh,
this is gonna bother me now. Pause.
I have no idea.
Pause for a second. Because I can't for some odd reason. George Clooney. I'm an idiot.
Oh.
Couldn't think of his name for a second. Um, 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 um. I remember watching it a lot with my grandparents.
Is it an
Um,
old movie?
yeah, it's like older. It, oh, brother, where art thou?
Oh, yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
it's
I've
kind of
seen
like
that.
the music you would hear in there, kind of like
Oh, okay. Yeah, I gotcha.
bluesy, kind of like that. Something you'd expect your old country grandpa to listen to.
Yeah, right.
Um, but recently I came across a video from 2022 from Waller Adventures. And we're gonna touch on this in a little bit because there's some stuff in there I want you to see. Who were there and experienced him thoroughly enjoying Lizzo. Yes, Lizzo! Literally and physically, like
What
physically,
song
he
by
is
Lizzo?
um shit, I don't remember.
It's funny.
I don't
What's her
remember what
most
song.
popular sound?
I don't remember. I'll have in the video you can like hear the music.
Mm.
I don't know if I can play that because we don't own it.
Oh.
Probably not, but I'll let you listen to that post the recording. Um, but like physically, he's driving the REM pods nuts. Like there's two REM pods on the table, and he's driving both of them nuts. And like in the spirit box, they have it running as well simultaneously, and like you can hear like it says like that's sexy. Yeah.
What?
And like other things of that nature, like of more like explicit nature. In my experience, Sarge is normally like communicating with Giselle. The connection they've built is like insane. She's
Oh.
she typically sits in front of his cell too. Um, and it's honestly so sweet to like watch her interact with them. Obviously, like again, I feel like the biggest like take back from this like jail is like these are people as well. Like
Hmm.
obviously some of them did crimes. I
Right.
keep saying created crimes, like they didn't create crimes, they committed crimes, dum dum. Um, but like they're people. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, like they're people. They're somebody's father, somebody's brother, somebody's son. Like, yeah,
And the way they were treated was just not how humans should be treated.
no.
Even though they
And
did things that were wrong, but still,
they're still people.
there's, yeah, exactly.
Totes agree. And then the crawler, creeper, whatever you want to fucking call it. From my first, like, I've been there several times. Colin and I will go like several times in a trip, and we've
Hmm.
like been there several times, like trip wise. From my first like experience, it was sounding mainly like it was in solitary confinement, which made sense to me. It's a dark room. It's got no windows. It's literally like you can see in the room where it was boarded up with bricks.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
What room is this?
the solitary confinement.
Oh,
So
yes.
yeah, where
Okay,
Chick
I've
was
seen.
like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah. You were typically thrown in there by yourself. So like talk about sensory deprivation.
yeah.
It's
No, thank you.
dark. You're in there by yourself. Mind you, you didn't get a bucket when you went in there too.
So where are they supposed to pee and poop? Just on the
On the
floor?
floor. Hope you don't lay in it.
Ew.
Yeah. Um, so they think it's like a conglomeration of all the negative energy and history from the jail.
Hmm.
So obviously not a person or, not an inmate hiding who they are, but an IT. Um,
Oh.
I believe from experience, like whether you're dying in a place or just like having a traumatic situation or, like dark emotions, there's potential for you to leave that there. So, like, obviously, you're not leaving a part of yourself there, but like you're leaving the scenario, your emotions, like you're leaving that there.
Hmm.
And like that can be very heavy.
Yeah.
Um, so take that plus everyone telling stories about whatever, this thing is,
Yeah.
and feeding more and more into it. I think it's an egregore. Do you know what an
What
egregore is?
the fuck is that?
um, so here's like a legitimate like definition of it. It's a non-physical entity or thought form that arises from collective thoughts or emotions of a distinct group or emotions. So like it's essentially I'm thinking about it, I tell you about it, you think about it, and then like it's like playing a game of telephone essentially, and then
Hmm.
now it's everyone's thinking about it and now it's real. Yeah.
Oh.
So kind of like how like we talked about earlier, like Bogle like gets power from like you reviewing his work,
Right, right.
kind of thing.
Hmm.
Like uh, it was shut down in 1953 because it was considered a crime against humanity. So like now we have traumatic events such as death, inmates
Right.
who committed, unspeakable crimes, beating,
Hmm.
torture, of course, can't forget inmate on inmate crimes. Like there's
Hmm.
no wonder why something of this nature would be inside the jail.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely.
Yeah. So in my more recent, I say recent as if they weren't like forever ago. In my more recent hunts from like that first original, I was informed that the creeper no longer resides in solitary confinement.
So where is it? Throughout the
Everywhere.
entire, oh, no,
Yeah.
thank you.
So they think in Joe Perry's room there is a portal. Um, and that's kind of like where it gets a lot of its energy from. Um,
Hmm.
so it can be found in Joe Perry's room in the Gen Pop section, as like I know you watched the manager talk about like it crawling around the outside of the jail cells
Yeah.
when he was
Hmm.
walking around. Um it's not something I take lightly. Um and like in my experience when it has shown up, I remove myself from the
Yeah,
room and I
I
just
definitely
move
would
on.
too. Mm-mm.
Um I just I it's not something I'm interested in. It's not something I want to feed into either. So I definitely just like bye and
Yeah,
split.
it's definitely something you don't want to mess with because I definitely
Yeah.
don't want to mess with it either. It's not good.
Yeah, definitely not. So like I said, I've been to the jail a cajillion times at this point in my lifetime. Um, we've toured it twice, like during the regular day.
Hmm.
And then we've done several ghost tours at night.
Really? I didn't know you guys did that.
Yeah, we like when I'm talking like we love St. Augustine. We love St. Augustine.
Oh.
Um, but something that like every single visit I had been there, I haven't been able to step into solitary confinement. And it wasn't just like the crawler was like scaring me, so like I didn't do it. It was as if like I was being told not to do it.
You just had a bad
Yeah. And
vibe
like
about it and just
I'm not
bad feeling.
like I am not like perfect, like, but I trust my gut.
Right, right,
I
absolutely.
you can say like how many times has my gut been right?
Yeah,
It's
just true.
kind of disgusting how like
Yeah.
often it's right.
I know.
But like something in my gut just tells me to not step in there. And I don't know if it's because like empath wise, like I wouldn't be able to handle all of the emotions that are in there.
Hmm.
Or if it's just like I grew up in a very Christian household with mom and grandma. So like I
Hmm.
don't know if it's like the Christianity side of me that's like, maybe we shouldn't go in there. It's definitely not something
Maybe
we
it
want to
could be
mess
a
with.
little bit of both.
Yeah. I mean, and they talk all the time about like how like people of your like history or family like, follow you,
Hmm.
kind of like guardian angel kind of like thing. And there's definitely been
Yeah.
times where like I know my grandmother's with me and like I
Hmm.
don't know if maybe she's like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do that, Rachel. So whatever it is, I have never set foot in there. Not once.
Just makes you wonder what would happen if you did step in
Yes. But then
there. And
also
you
in the
don't want
back
to
of my
find out.
head, yes, I don't want to find out. Um,
Exactly.
so like one time, the first time we went, totally normal. The tour was perfectly fine. Like I didn't have any issues. Until we got to Sheriff Perry's office. You can't step in his parlor section. It is like kind of like not fenced off, but like it's roped off. So
Hmm.
you can stand in like the office part of his like section and like see, the fingerprinting kit, his typewriter, you know, look at all these different things. And there is a fireplace in the center of the room. And I was standing with my back to his parlor section. In the parlor section, there's like a big like poker table, kind of like
Hmm.
size table, and there's two mannequins that are just like sitting there. There's
Oh,
books in
creepy.
front of, yeah, they're really creepy. But there's like books sitting there and stuff. And like you can tell like it's supposed to be like two deputies like working on bookworks. Like that's the kind of vibe I got
Yeah.
from it. Just the way it was placed and whatnot. It's not like there was poker chips on the table.
Right.
But like as
Don't they
the
put that in the episode too? Like they have a little mini
yeah,
table and there's like cards and stuff on it.
now that's upstairs in his lodging section.
Oh, right, right, right.
But
Okay.
yes. But as like the guide's talking, so like Emmanuel in the episode, the assistant
Hmm.
manager, that was who our guide was for the first guide.
Really?
Yeah. The first ever
Wow.
tour we took was Emmanuel. And he does a phenomenal job.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, it was really cool. Uh, he's like talking about Sheriff Perry and like, talking about his fingerprinting kit and his terrible handwriting, all these
Hmm.
super fun facts. And I hear a stomp behind me, like on the ground stomp, like a boot hitting the like wood, because it's like wood flooring in
Hmm.
his office. Um, and I, of course, whip my head around. Colin standing off to the like side of either he's standing, I can't remember if he was standing in front of the fireplace to my left or if he was standing to my right.
Hmm.
Um, but I know he like looked at me and he was like, "Girl, what?" And I was like,
Did Colin hear it too?
no,
What?
I was the only person that heard it.
Did he look at you like you were crazy? He's like,
Yes.
Rachel,
So
what are
like
you
we
hearing?
lingered in there because like the guide gives you like time to go upstairs to like the next room.
Hmm.
Um, so like you can kind of like look at some stuff in there and whatnot. Can you hear Buster?
Yeah.
Little shit. So like we're just lingering around, like I'm looking into the like office, and like he's like, like what did you hear, because at this point like we had done a few ghost tours but we hadn't toured there yet. So like we already kind of like we're having inklings like maybe there's like something that like I'm connected to.
Hmm.
um and I'm just like, like I heard like a stomp, like these two mannequins are arguing over bookwork and one of them stomped their foot down like fuck you, I'm right kind of thing.
Oh
And
my
he was
God.
like, well, that's weird. Nobody else like was looking around when I looked around. So like I felt really fucking crazy.
If
Um
I was there with you and I saw you do that, I'd be like,
Getting out.
Rachel,
Time
goodbye.
to go.
Oh my God, that's
um
so scary.
yeah, it was super weird. But like that could have been residual, like that could have been like, just a normal like somebody did like have an argument there and stomp their foot down. Like it wasn't like I
Hmm.
was trying to contact someone and like got a response. So I was just kind of like,
Right.
whatevs, keep trucking along. Um, and like the rest of the tour was totally like normal, no problems, no other like I heard this, but you didn't thing.
Right.
So be it. We go on about our merry way. And I think we took the like night tour that night or the next night. And like I was talking to Teresa about it, and this was after like I freaked out in the maximum security section. Like I could not, like I just felt so uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
being in that section.
Understandable. Mm-hmm.
You also have to consider too, like they didn't, like women weren't a thing in there.
Right.
Like obviously
So they're
there's a
probably
women's
like,
section, but like women weren't a thing in there.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like I always feel very uncomfortable in maximum security. I don't feel as uncomfortable in Gen Pop as I do in maximum security.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which is strange because like I've been touched several times in Gen Pop. So like you would think
Ugh.
that's where I would feel more uncomfortable, but I
Yeah.
don't because it doesn't
That's
feel
interesting.
like malicious. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I just always equated it to like the creeper or the crawler just because like that's
Yeah.
where it resided the most.
Yeah.
But like I had like a mentee bee in maximum security. And like I had stayed in the kitchen for a while, just kind of like trying to chill, be with the girls. And the women in the kitchen are just the energy is just very comforting. Like you feel
Yeah.
with like your grandmother. Um, and I had interacted with Mary a few times in there. If you ask her about her beans, she'll tell you it's the best damn beans ever. It's so cute. Um, but she's super sweet. And Teresa just was like, telling me about like her experiences there, and she made a comment that has always just kind of stuck with me. Um, that she was born with a veil over her face.
She was
And
born with a veil over her face.
mhm. And I was like, well, like, what do you mean by that? And
I was like, what does that mean?
essentially, it just kind of means that she's connected to the paranormal, like, veil. It doesn't mean that she has any special gifts.
Oh,
It doesn't mean that she sees them or talks to them, but like, she's always been able to connect easier, which is why she chose the career she did. And I
I
was like,
love
oh,
that.
okay, like that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
like that's what I mean. Like their group that they have there is just phenomenal. They really support you, and it's really nice.
That's awesome.
But like we were just discussing the foot stomp, and she was like, oh yeah, like that's normal. And I was like, what?
I love how it's so normal for them. I would have been like, oh my God, I
Yeah.
would have freaked out.
Um,
Oh
I
my
think that was
God.
the same time that Giselle was up in like Gen Pop. They used to do it like half and half. Like this half of the team, would be downstairs for the certain amount of time, and this half of the team would be upstairs for a certain amount of time. But the
Right.
last time we went, they just kind of let you meander wherever you were most comfortable. Um, and obviously, when we swapped and we went upstairs, we were with Giselle instead of Teresa, and that was when I got touched. And I like Colin wanders a lot when we ghost tour or ghost hunt. And
He just wanders off by himself.
oh yeah,
Oh my God.
I know, terrifying.
Hell no.
Hell nah. But yeah, he just wanders off, and it's like totally okay. I don't mind. I typically stay with like the guides or with like groups of people, so I'm not like
Hmm.
alone. Um, but like I thought it was Colin because he like again he roams, and I thought like he had
Right.
touched my like lower back when he walked by,
Hmm.
only for me to turn around, Aubrey, and there be no one.
Oh my God. I just got chills through my entire body.
When I'm telling you, like I hopped because there's a picnic table in the center of Gen Pop. I popped off the fucking table and ran into the
Ugh.
hallway. And Giselle's like talking to me from the Gen Pop cells. She's like, girl, you good? And I was like, I just got touched.
Oh my God. She's probably like, yeah, that's normal.
Yeah,
Oh,
but then she scolded them like, how dare you touch
really?
somebody like unwanted? Yeah, and I was like, thank you,
Wow.
my savior.
Thank you.
But like they're
Funny.
super cool there. There's like a ton of experiences that I've had there that I've just kind of been like, whoa. Um,
It's definitely something I would want to experience, even though like it gives me the heebie-jeebies, but I would definitely, you know, want to experience it. It sounds like
Yeah.
it'd be a very interesting.
I mean, like, there's so many things that like the one that stands out the most to me is Colin heard the Whistler. And
Really?
when I tell you, Aubrey, I have tried so many times to hear the Whistler because the like claims are like if you whistle, it'll whistle back to you. And
Well, I can't whistle.
well, good thing I can, Peppa Pig. I would roam like the top section, like whistling, trying to get it to whistle back. Like every time we went to like no avail. I never got anything back.
Isn't it interesting how they only do it for like certain people? Like
Yes,
the way you got touched on the back or the arm,
in a
and
room
then
full of people
Colin,
too.
yeah, and then Colin can hear the Whistler. Like that's insane to me that they like basically pick and choose their own people that they want them to know that they're there.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It was so cool. Colin and like a random guy from like the group had gone back into Gen Pop. Giselle and I were in like, I think either in Sheriff Perry's room or like in the lodging part of his room where like his deputies or his kids would sleep. But we were
Hmm.
on the opposite side and like we were just, doing stuff in there. And he like booked it in and he was like, did anyone whistle? And all of us like collectively were like, no.
Did
And then
anyone
he
whistle?
books it out, books it downstairs, and like I don't know if you've seen any pictures of the stairs. The stairs are like teeny tiny stairs.
Hmm.
Teeny tiny stairs. Books it
Yeah.
down the stairs, asks that group if anyone whistled. Nobody whistled.
Oh my God, I can just imagine him running around like, oh, did everyone whistle?
Like a
Who
chicken
whistled?
with his head cut off. He was so excited. I was so pissed. Out of all of the times I had tried to get the Whistler to whistle back, it never whistled. He didn't even whistle. He was just in Gen Pop alone with some other random guy. And they both looked at each other like, did you just hear that?
Ugh.
Crazy.
Oh my God, that's
Um,
scary.
yeah. I think our this was our last visit that this part happened. We had gone to the Jimenez Facio house, which is like an older house that used to be like a general store, housing, like lodging kind of thing, by like the Jimenez family, and then the Facio family, I think just like lived there. I can't remember.
Hmm.
Um, and this was with like a different company, and we did ghost hunting and like different parts of the house. And there, I can't remember his name, but there is a doctor, Pena Peck. It's Dr. Peck. It's from the Pena Peck house. Um, so the reason there's
Enya
two
Peck.
names on the houses is it's the first family that owned the house and then the last family that owned the house.
Mm.
And that was very common. So Dr. Peck was the last person that owned this like other house from the Jimenez Facio house, but like he
Hmm.
consistently was in the Jimenez Facio house. Um, and he was a doctor and he would, treat people in the lodging area and whatnot. But they only have one original piece in that Jimenez Facio house, one, and it's a mirror. So because that's the only original piece, they scry on it.
What?
Do you know what scrying is?
Nope.
So
Let me look it
essentially
up.
scrying is like sitting in front of it, trying like clearing your mind essentially and
Oh,
just
that's
trying to
creepy.
see like what comes in.
Ugh.
Um and this will lead back to the jail in a second. But we had done that the night before we went to the jail and I was terrified to scry. Colin didn't really have anything crazy happen. Like he heard things like creaking in the wood and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
I personally had seen Dr. Peck throughout the house in a few different spots. At this point, I don't think I had even told Colin this yet. But when I was scrying, my face was changing.
Shut the
And
fuck
yeah,
up.
it was really creepy. And I was seeing
Like into
like,
what? Was it just like
so like, how like gaunt,
blurry?
No, it was turning into a male face.
What the
Yeah.
hell?
So like, you know how like gaunt and like high cheekbones Abraham Lincoln is?
Yeah, yeah.
It was doing that.
Oh,
And
that's creepy.
unbeknownst to me, that's what Dr. Peck looked like. Yeah. So like my face was like changing kind of like into his, and I would see like swishes of dress, like a dress around me, like old timey, like, you know, frills at the bottom, the lace, like that kind of dress, like swishing around me. And like
God.
I was really confused at what was happening. And you know, once my time was up, I booked it. I booked it out of there, ran downstairs to where like the tour guide was, and you know, like everyone had like already kind of like recanted some of like what had happened to them when they were scrying, and I was so shook. I started
I
like,
would be too. That's scary as hell.
yeah, especially for like a first time scrying, not really know what you're
Yeah.
doing. Like all you really get told is just like clear your mind and stare at yourself
Were you
and
the
see what
only
happens.
person in the room, like
There was
doing it? Like,
one
do you
there,
guys get your
yeah,
own?
yeah. There was only one other lady, which was the other tour guide, but she sat in the other room, and I told her I was so uncomfortable that I wanted her to stay like within peripheral, and she did.
Hmm.
She was very sweet. She sat like on the floor in peripheral, like I could see her the whole time. But like as like my face was changing, or I would see like the swishing of the dress, like she would disappear. She obviously didn't move, but it was like
Oh,
other things were taking my focus. So like I knew at any point in time like I was not alone. But it was so creepy. I was describing it to
oh
the
my
other tour
God.
guide and Colin and like a few other people that were on the tour with us. Unbeknownst to me, they had just started talking about Dr. Peck when I came down. And
Oh
I
my
was like
God.
telling them like what I was seeing. And the guide goes, yeah, that's Dr. Peck. And Colin is literally like bug-eyed looking at me, like mouth on the floor.
I can imagine what his face will look
And
like.
I'm like, what do you mean that's Dr. Peck? And she goes, you were seeing Dr. Peck. You know, like he was, you know, treating patients down here, like, you know, that were sick or anything like that. And I was like, what?
Oh my God, just you talking about that is making my heart race.
It was so it was so crazy. I have never scried since then. Um,
Yeah.
just because like
Mm-mm.
I don't want to scry somewhere not knowing like what I'm opening myself up to. At least I
Exactly.
know in that house like there's no reports of like any like creepy crawler guys or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like it's all just kind of like residual, historical, you know, like people just kind of living their lives inside of this, you know, house. So
Yeah.
I was totes okay doing that there.
Oh
um,
my God.
but to tie
Scary.
this into the jail, the next night we went to the jail, and it was Teresa and Giselle, love them, um, and I can't remember the name of the like the piece that we were using of equipment. I think it was called like Polterpod, or like it's like an Ovilus. It spits out words, um, that like it's sensing from like the area. Uh,
Oh,
and
okay.
you know, like we had just kind of like talked several times about like what happened at the Jimenez Facio house, and like
Hmm.
how I was starting to like see stuff. And that was stuff that like I hadn't done before. I'd only felt things,
Yeah.
or like felt emotions, or like had someone's emotions like take over, um like my own emotions. And so
Right.
like we were, you know, talking about like physically seeing stuff, which was creepy
Hmm.
for me. So we were just
Yeah.
kind of like testing it out. Like we went to the gallows, especially with that being, you know, so traumatic and so deep, like, you know, and emotionally like hard. We
Yeah.
were thinking
Hmm.
like, okay, like this is emotional, like maybe I'll connect to it. I didn't see shit there at the gallows.
Really?
Nothing. They had like a little it's like a Connect 360. Like they take the Xbox 360 thing. Like you remember
Hmm.
from that scary movie where like the little ghost was running through the Xbox 360 like lasers.
What movie?
From one of those paranormal activity movies.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah.
yes.
So
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
they make their own like little thingies like that, and like you can see ghosts with it. Like you, not like
Mm.
you can't physically see them, but they're like little stick figures.
Yeah.
So they were seen several throughout like the gallows, but like I just wasn't connecting to it. And it was irritating. But there is a house on the property that is like literally on like jail property. It doesn't belong to the jail, but it's like pushed off into the corner, like
Okay.
far, far into the corner. The gallows are like in front of you,
Hmm.
and it's off to the right. And like it just kept catching my attention.
I
And
wonder why.
I'm about to tell you why. I just it was so strange. Like I just couldn't stop looking at it. And Giselle was like acknowledging it. And she was like, Okay, so like what are you sensing?" And I was like, "I'm not sensing, I'm seeing." And she goes, "What are you seeing?" And I was like, I see like 5 black figures.
No.
And she literally looks at Teresa and she goes, "That's how many I'm seeing."
Oh,
I was like, "Ah!"
what did
um
they say about like you seeing it?
Giselle wasn't surprised, and neither was Teresa, especially with like how much like I had grown from that first like visit to like then.
Yeah.
Um, there had been other scenarios and other places that we typically like ghost hunt when we're down there that like we were describing to them, and they were like, Rachel," and I was like, "I know, creepy, can't decide." Um,
Oh.
and I was seeing 5. It wasn't like 5, all the same height. It was like different heights.
Yeah, like
Um,
different people.
yeah,
Hmm.
and it's hard to say this part. I was seeing how they died. So, and it wasn't like I wasn't them dying, but I also wasn't like standing like third party watching them die. It was like a mixture of both.
That's, oh my God.
I mean, I saw a railroad and a train. I saw a
Oh,
boat. I saw a
a
car.
boat?
Like, yeah, like, so then like obviously my mind was like drowning. Um,
Oh, okay.
and then I saw a car, which like made me think like car accident. And it wasn't like I saw a cyber truck. Like I saw like the old like Fords and stuff like that. So like I was seeing like weird stuff like that. Those are the only 3 that like really stick out to my brain. I don't remember
Mhm.
about the other 2 like deaths I saw. Um,
That's interesting.
but
What
like
what did the other one say? Or who saw them again?
Giselle,
What did
she's
Giselle say? Did she see the
she
same thing?
she wasn't so like everyone's gift is a little different. She wasn't seeing what I was seeing like the death wise, but she was seeing the 5 different people, and like the different heights and whatnot, and they were just standing on the porch like on the stairs of the house, um and she specifically told me to not go over to the house, so I didn't.
Oh,
um but they don't know much about the house, other than it is a school for the blind.
that's interesting.
Right. Um, and that it used to be a funeral home.
Hmm?
Yes.
Before the school or after?
Before the school.
Oh, okay.
I, from what I understand, is the school's not there anymore. But they still don't know a ton about the house. Um,
Is it just abandoned? Like they just left it there? Like they
not,
didn't do anything to it?
not really. I mean, like there's lights on sometimes. I don't
Hmm.
know. It's very strange. And
Interesting.
I tend to get drawn to it when we're there, because we did do a tour, like a day tour the next day, like
Hmm.
after this night tour. I mean, and we went over with like the polter pod. We didn't go
Yeah.
up to it because she told me not to, so I trusted her. And she like put
I
the
would
REM
too.
pod down on the steps. Like nothing ever happened to the REM pod, but like the polter pod was going insane. Like it had said so many words. I can't remember all of the words. I can't find the video either, which really pisses me off. But like it was just throwing out like a bunch of different words, and the only word that stands out that I can remember is Diablo.
Mm. No,
So
thanks.
right, it had said Diablo, And then like it had said a few more words after that, and then it died. Like the fully charged polterpod died.
I wonder what else it was saying.
Yeah, I
But at the same time, I don't want to know.
yeah,
One word is enough.
it
That
was
word,
very
done.
strange. And like Colin was really bewildered, so was Giselle, like, and I feel like for Giselle to be like, don't go up to the house, like obviously there's stuff that she was seeing or like she knew from her gift and like
Hmm.
was trying to protect me, and I greatly appreciate it. But
That
like
is
still to
so scary.
still to this day, like I can't stop thinking about that. Like what's
No,
crazy
understandable,
though,
because I would have, oh my God, I would have think about that every single day.
yeah, the next day that we went and did a tour, like just the not normal guided tour like we did with the manual,
Hmm.
um I when they like let you go at the end of the tour, I read the sign outside of the house, and it was, I can't remember the first name on the house, but the last name on the house was Peck. And there's not a lot known about the house. So like in my mind, like obviously it's connected to Dr. Peck of some
Oh,
lineage. I remember that it was a female house, but I can't, a female name, but I can't remember like much past that. But obviously like that's connected in some sort of way.
oh my God, that's
So like we've like really wanted to go back, but we haven't been able to.
Are you planning on going back again? Like soon?
It would depend. It would depend on
Oh my
this
God, I'd be
transfer and
so
all of
scared.
that, but like it's yeah, it's so crazy.
That's really scary.
But
I want
yeah,
to
that
go.
is the old jail.
Wow. Round of applause for your first one. That was
Thank you.
awesome. You're
Clapping in a
welcome.
circle.
You did a great job.
Thank you. We don't really have an outro either, so
No, we really
peace.
don't. Peace. Deuces.